This is The Scoop for Tuesday.
I'm Megan Bowman with the WMNF News headlines. Monday marked the second anniversary of the landmark decision by the U.S. Supreme Court that overturned Roe v. Wade, which stripped away the constitutional right to abortion. And activists say people should have the right to choose what's best for their bodies and the access to make that choice a reality. Monique Shaw is the senior program officer for the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, an organization dedicated to improving healthcare nationwide. She says the decades-long public health crisis of maternal mortality is not a separate issue from attacks on reproductive rights.
Unfortunately, racism and discrimination in healthcare settings and also a widespread lack of access to coverage and quality healthcare are at the root causes of the dismal maternal health outcomes and disparities that we're seeing across the country.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say Black women are 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes than white women.
There's no coincidence that the states with the highest Black maternal death rates are also states with the harshest abortion restrictions.
Shaw says reproductive and maternal health care should not be a privilege, but a right. Florida law now prohibits women from getting abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy, which opponents say is before many women even know they are pregnant. However, this November, voters will decide through a ballot initiative whether to enshrine abortion rights in the state's constitution. A St. Petersburg news outlet hired a new journalist. Artificial intelligence. WMNF's Chris Young reports.
Joe Hamilton is the editor-in-chief for the St. Pete Catalyst. In May, it announced a new journalist named Cora Quantum, an AI-generated persona. Hamilton says it'll, quote, amplify local journalists.
The stories are good, the content's good, and certainly there's a certain flavor of content that best fits Cora, and we stick in those lanes, but very positive for the most part.
Quantum has covered stories such as Pinellas County Commission meetings and tech conferences. Hamilton says every story created by AI is reviewed by a human. Alex Mahadevan is the director of MediaWise at Poynter Institute. He surveyed audiences' thoughts on AI and says the results are grim.
We learned that most people are pretty hesitant about news organizations using AI. There's already a trust problem in journalism, and so throwing AI in there was only more problematic.
He says giving the persona a face and a name gives him pause.
That can rub people the wrong way in an uncanny valley way, and then also it brings up some interesting kind of ethical questions about, are you very clear that this is a robot doing the work?
The Catalyst's Joe Hamilton says people tend to focus on the risks more than the benefits.
When you read a great article and, you happen to see that was written by Cora and you just got your information and moved on with your life and you were served by that, by that news, it's, what's there to worry about?
Currently, major news outlets like USA Today and the Associated Press use AI in their reporting. Chris Young, WMNF News, Tampa.
4 men were arrested in connection with the death of a University of South Florida student. WMNF's Tyler Aldano reports authorities seized narcotics like heroin, cocaine, and more than 1,200 fentanyl pills from one of the suspects' homes.
In February, a USF student died in his dorm on campus. Police say the victim believed they were purchasing Percocet, an opioid-based pain reliever. But in reality, the pills were laced with a lethal amount of fentanyl. USF substance abuse researcher Vicki Buckle says several illegal drugs could contain fentanyl without the user even knowing.
It's being cut in with, I said, methamphetamines or cocaine. Sometimes even marijuana can be laced with fentanyl.
Narcan can quickly restore breathing to a person during an opioid overdose, but Buckle says not enough people know about the life-saving drug.
Everybody, even if you don't think you're going to need it or you're ever going to be around somebody, who uses opiates or maybe in an opioid overdose, but having Narcan on them because it is readily accessible. It is something we can all carry, and it's something that can and will save a life if somebody's involved in an opioid overdose.
In 2022, more than 70,000 overdose deaths were caused by synthetic opioids such as fentanyl. Tyler Aldano, WMNF News, Tampa.
I'm Megan Bowman with the WMNF News headlines.
This is The Scoop, recorded at WMNF Tampa.